Welcome back to the Republic of Arsenal podcast and another game, another win, another 3 points. And as the famous chant goes, 1-0 to the Arsenal. I'll take that all day long. Not the most convincing scoreline, but look, it was the result that was important in this one, not so much the scoreline. Look, of course, we all hope to see something similar to what we saw against Chelsea. But let's put things into perspective here for a minute. This was an away game against a team that we've struggled against in the past. We're still a side finding our feet. We've added a few new players into the mix. New being a couple of young players, the likes of Pablo Mari, who, in terms of his play time since he signed for us, he's still pretty new. Let's be fair. It takes a bit of time for partnerships and understandings and bonds between players to form on the pitch. So look, I'm willing to cut them a little bit of slack going into this one. And it's easy to get overexcited when you see a performance like we did against Chelsea. But as I said, look, these things, they don't happen overnight. Plus, take into account 10 of the 11 that started on Sunday started again on Tuesday. Now, that's not a lot of recovery time. You could argue the young players, yeah, they probably should have the legs. But at the same time, you got to remember, Martinelli has been out an awful long time, just back from injury. And even at that, he picked up a bad knock against Man City. Yeah, he picked up, I think a bit of a knock to his back against Chelsea. So he's soldiered on for a couple of games now. Smith Rowe only playing his second league game of the season. A couple of minutes here and there in the Europa League. Bukayo Saka, he's played a lot. So, he'd be forgiven, if he showed any signs of tiredness coming into this one. Our last 5 games against Brighton, we failed to register a single win, 2 draws, 3 defeats. So this is always going to be a tough game for us. Brighton, they're a scrappy, scrappy team. They have got some individuals that can punish, and we've seen that in the past. Our most recent game against Brighton, I'm sure it's still fresh in the minds of most of us. It was a game that it saw us lose our keeper, Bernd Leno, to a bad knee injury. Saw us concede with what was virtually the last kick of the game to lose 2-1. And that was to be Matteo Guendouzi's last appearance in an Arsenal shirt to date after his behaviour at full time. So it's been a pretty unhappy fixture for us in the past, to say the very least. But look, we made things right this time around, managed to snatch a win by a single goal to nil. And as I said, it's all about the 3 points. Like, we're a team that's trying to regroup, and it's going to take victories to do that. We would have liked a more convincing scoreline, of course, but it's a case of us almost, we've almost got to learn how to crawl again before we run. So we now got 2 wins on the bounce, which, considering how the season's been going, it's absolutely massive. We see out 2020 with 2 back-to-back wins. With all the madness that's going on in the world, we're about to go back into a full lockdown here in Ireland. We've at least got something to smile about again as Arsenal fans. So look, as always, I'll jump into the lineup. This is probably going to be the handiest lineup review I'll ever have to do, because, as I said, Arteta started 10 of the 11 that he started in the Chelsea game. So he went with Leno, Bellerin, Holding, Pablo Mari, Tierney, Granit Xhaka, Danny Ceballos, not Danny Ceballos, Mohamed El Neni. It's because they look identical, so I easily get confused. Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, and Smith Rowe. And the one change being Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He was back, having sat on the bench against Chelsea. Yeah, look, I was happy with the lineup because, after registering our first league win since the 1st of November, how could you argue, really, with the team that got us the 3 points? Do you know what I mean? You couldn't really have much to say. Aubameyang, however, yeah, I was a little bit unsure about. It sounds mad to even say that because we all know what Aubameyang means to this team when he's on form, of course. But I was a little bit worried about how fit he actually was coming into this game, and to be fair, I didn't feel Lacazette did anything to warrant being dropped. But I suppose with the Chelsea game being just 3 days before this one, I could understand giving them a bit of a breather. So the first half kind of looked a little bit more like what we'd seen prior to the Chelsea game. Not an awful lot to get excited about. As I said, probably a little bit expected given the fact there was only 3 days between the games. And it was basically the exact same group of players. Okay, so it was one of these first halves that, as a podcaster, it absolutely kills me. There was little or nothing to really even talk about, if I'm being completely honest. I could sit here and, I could do my best to try and hype it up. Maybe I could overanalyze a few minor things. But to be honest, I think I'd be doing a bit of an injustice to anyone who might listen to this and then want to go check out the highlights afterwards, because you'll be sitting there saying, what game was he watching? Because this is pretty poor, to be honest. Literally sums up the first half. First half, Brighton had one shot on goal. We didn't have any at all. Not one. Not one. Pretty poor first half, in all honesty. But look, we didn't go in a goal down, so baby steps, as I said. Second half, different affair. Got off to a more entertaining start. Brighton had a penalty shout almost right away. Went to VAR. Wasn't awarded. Yeah, would have been a bit harsh. So, good call by the video assistant. Happy enough with that one. Yeah, it was after this that Arsenal kind of got their act together and began to play a little bit. We've seen it in the past, and I do talk about this a lot. We're not a great first half team. Takes us a bit too long to get going. It's normally the second half when we come to life. And I noticed this is a trend that kind of went back under Unai Emery as well. I actually struggle to remember a game under Emery where we managed to have two convincing halves of football. Saying that, apart from the game on Sunday against Chelsea, we haven't had too many of those under Arteta either, to be fair. Look, Aubameyang, I'd almost forgotten he was on the pitch because he was completely invisible in the first half. So he had an absolutely massive chance in the second. The move started deep inside our half. Martinelli plays the ball forward to Saka, who, just like he did so often last season, played a dangerous low cross into the box. And Aubameyang, last season, this is the type of chance he'd have buried, no questions asked. I mean, look, fair play to the keeper for keeping it out, but, Auba's got to be scoring there. Good reflex save from the keeper. But that sort of sums up our finishing this season. When we do manage to create something, it's just not good enough. Literally 2 minutes later, Martinelli had a huge chance. Smith Rowe showing great balance to skip past two challenges. Gets the ball to Martinelli inside the Brighton penalty area. He hits a beautiful curling shot, agonisingly over the bar. Like, I was watching this one and jumped up out of my seat. I thought he'd scored, and the fact that being Martinelli as well, I'm sure like everyone, just cannot wait to see him get back in the score sheet again. So again, just 2 minutes later, Aubameyang had another big chance, and I've no doubt last season's Aubameyang would have put this one away with ease. Arsenal win the ball deep inside their own half, and this is where we really see the benefit of the youth, in the team. How quickly they build up the play and break away. A big criticism of Xhaka and El Neni, for example, is that they take too long, they slow down the play, they just don't move the ball forward. Martinelli and Smith Rowe do the exact opposite. Really smart turn by Martinelli, and he releases Smith Rowe. Arsenal break away. Aubameyang to his left. Saka makes a run to his right. He chooses to go out wide to Aubameyang on the left, who gets inside the box, cuts inside his man, takes the ball on the inside of his right foot. This is literally his trademark finish. Normally we see Aubameyang curl the ball inside the post. This time he scoops the ball high and wide. And look, big miss for Auba. You can tell he's a guy that's lost a lot of confidence. It's still crazy to think, with the scoring record he's had since he signed for the club, there is actually a small group of fans that are writing him off. And yeah, look, I know he's not playing well. He's not. But this happens. Every player goes through these patches in their careers. I honestly don't buy into the idea that he's just given up and he's not interested anymore since he got that new contract. I do think he's been badly affected by the whole team being off form. Like, this guy carried us last season, and that was while we were playing, fairly okay as a group. This season, everybody's been off form, really. Aside from maybe one or two, like Bukayo Saka, Gabriel come to mind. But look, Aubameyang can only carry us so much on his own, and he's never been that all action kind of player, like say an Alexis Sanchez, that's going to run himself into the ground every game. That's just not his style. He's off form. He's low on confidence. He's probably not fully over the injury that he suffered the last 2 weeks either. But, I think the least we can do is afford him a bit more time to rediscover his form before we completely write him off. Look, at this point in the game, you could sort of see, Arsenal were turning the screw and stepping up a gear. I was feeling pretty confident we'd get something, but at the same time, it's always difficult when you're wasting opportunities, as the opposition can very easily punish you. If they start to gain confidence from the fact that you're not taking your chances, they'll settle themselves down. They'll start to build themselves. But look, 66 minutes in, Martinelli looking a little tired, as you can completely understand, replaced by Lacazette, and what an inspired substitution that turned out to be. Bukayo Saka picks up the ball in the Arsenal half and drives forward all the way into the Brighton box. Plays a ball to Lacazette, who's completely unmarked. What I liked here about this was Lacazette takes his time, he takes a touch, tees himself up for a shot and fires the ball into the net. Really cool finish from Lacazette with his first and second touches. 1, 2, goal. He was only on the pitch maybe 30 seconds, maybe. Much, much better from Lacazette. It's the kind of chance that a few weeks back, I feel he would have smashed that miles over the bar, or the ball would have got caught up in his feet. So I love the fact that he took his time, he steadied himself before he puts the ball away. A big, big relief as we went and took the lead. Felt like it was coming, but yourself, the longer a game goes on, the more chances go begging. You do start to worry. You start to say, maybe it's not going to be our night. A bit like the first half, after the goal, there wasn't too many talking points, to be completely honest. Look, credit to Arsenal for seeing the game out. Brighton swung a few balls into the box looking for something late on. But look, it didn't really look like they were going to get anything. Look, again, I was a little nervous when I saw 5 minutes added on after the 90, because we've seen, Brighton especially, we have been hit late on. But look, our game management was pretty clever. Granit Xhaka and Lacazette, they got a couple of soft free kicks to run down the clock, and look, we kept the ball in the corners. So we managed to see out the game, claimed ourselves another invaluable 3 points, and it's 6 points from 2 games. We couldn't have asked for better, to end the year. I think most would have looked at this game as the game that we needed to try get some points on the board, let alone get points in the Chelsea game. I think most people were overlooking that game. This was supposed to be right. This is where we really have to get something. But we beat Chelsea. We've now beat Brighton. So to manage 2 wins it's great. I'm trying so hard not to get overexcited. But looking ahead to the West Brom game, on paper, it's the easiest fixture we've got in this run of games. But look, football isn't always that straightforward. The Baggies were smashed 5-0 by Leeds last night. So, yeah, it could present a nice fixture for us to get Aubameyang on the score sheet, hopefully. And he might regain some of the much needed confidence in front of goal. Again, I'm not overlooking West Brom. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy game, because look, let's be fair, there's no easy games in the Premier League, and especially in a season like this, anything can happen. This season is just crazy already. But look, I would definitely be tempted to rotate the team if I was Arteta. I don't think you can ask the same 10 or 11 guys to play again next weekend. Maybe include Danny Ceballos, Maitland-Niles, Pepe, just freshen up a little bit. I'd like to believe that, with 2 wins on the trot, we should have enough confidence building within the squad Team morale should be high. So, making a few changes shouldn't upset the balance too much. But, I use the word should, quite loosely. We should be okay. But look, this is Arsenal, right? Anything is possible. So as always, I'm going to be back to talk about West Brom, and hopefully it's going to be a case of talking about 3 wins in a row. 9 points from a possible 9, and our first win of 2021. So look, until then, I hope you have a great New Year's. So drink plenty, laugh, smile, enjoy the final couple of hours of this crazy, crazy year 2020. And I'll see you all in 2021. So as always, come on, you Gunners.